shows the inside of a game show studio with Phil Hartman as host. Hartman: Hello, I'm Bill Brainman. Welcome to Go Green with Dean, where one of our lucky contestants will go on a carbon-neutral date with newly deceased actress Charlby Dean. Our contestants are John Belushi, shows Chris Farley as John Belushi. Hartman: Norm Macdonald, shows John Belushi as Norm Macdonald. Hartman: And Chris Farley, shows Norm Macdonald as Chris Farley, who says, "Lay off, I'm starving." Hartman: We believe it, Chris. Okay, so ring in if you have the answer. Belushi raises his hand. Hartman: Yes, Mr. Macdonald. Belushi: Even if we don't win, we can still try to bang the actress after the show, right? Hartman: I don't see why not. Belushi pumps his fist. Hartman: Okay, so ring in if you know the answer. The first question: Who is the lead female role in the 2022 satirical dark comedy Triangle of Sadness? Farley rings in. Hartman: Yes, Mr. Belushi. Farley: Who is Gilda Radner? Hartman: Gilda Radner is incorrect. She died 33 years before this movie was made. And remember, this isn't Jeopardy, so you don't need to answer in the form of a question. Belushi rings in. Hartman: Yes, Mr. Macdonald. Belushi: I think it might be that one pretty lady. Who is Jan Hooks? Hartman: That's incorrect. Again, this isn't Jeopardy. And a hint: the answer is not a cast member of Saturday Night Live. Macdonald rings in. Hartman: Yes, Mr. Farley. Macdonald: Who is Denitra Vance? Hartman: For God's sake, that's incorrect. I just said it's not a Saturday Night Live cast member, and this isn't Jeopardy. Macdonald: Damn it! Hartman: The answer is the lovely young lady you're here to win a date with, Charlby Dean. So one of you better start doing your homework. Now the next question is, who voiced the characters Lionel Hutz and Troy McClure on The Simpsons? Farley rings in. Hartman: Yes, Mr. Belushi. Farley: Who's Chris Farley? Hartman: Incorrect. Again, this is not Jeopardy. Macdonald rings in. Hartman: Yes, Mr. Farley. Macdonald: Who is Norm Macdonald? Hartman: For God's sake, do you know what I mean when I say this isn't Jeopardy? Macdonald: I have no clue. Hartman: It means you do not have to frame your answer as a question. Do you understand? Macdonald: What is no? Hartman: Well then, just don't ring in again. Macdonald is incorrect. Belushi rings in. Hartman: Yes, Mr. Macdonald. Belushi: Who is John Belushi? Hartman: Okay. At this point, I'm going to just say that this is Jeopardy, so I don't get a burst coronary. But John Belushi, who died over 7 years before The Simpsons aired, is incorrect. Belushi: What the hell is The Simpsons? Hartman: Exactly, okay. And the final question, Belushi: What was the answer to the previous question? Hartman: I don't know. I already threw out that card. Anyway, the last question, who is the executive producer of Saturday Night Live? a show you were all cast members on. Belushi rings in. Hartman. Yes, Mr. McDonald. Belushi. Tom Murphy. Hartman. Now, I said we were going to pretend this was Jeopardy, and now you don't give your answer in the form of a question. Murphy is incorrect. McDonald rings in. Hartman. Yes, Mr. Farley. McDonald. Joe King. Hartman. Are you joking? McDonald. No, but I think Tom Murphy may be. I don't know. It's confusing. Hartman. That's incorrect. Farley rings in. Hartman. Yes, Mr. Belushi. Farley. Al Michaels. Hartman. No, the answer is not Al Michaels. Jesus, okay. You all each got every question terribly wrong. So I don't know who's going to go on a date with our lovely starlet. Gerald B. Dean comes out and says, well, how about all three? And dead from the earth, we're not alive. It's Saturday Not Alive, starring John Belushi, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks, Norm MacDonald, Gilda Radner, Denitra Vance, and many other special deceased contributors. Musical guest, Chris Cornell, and your host, Mikhail Gorbachev. Ladies and gentlemen, Mikhail Gorbachev. Applause, applause, applause. Shows a large wall in the middle of the stage. Behind the wall, Gorbachev says, thank you, thank you. I'd love for you in the audience to see me. But there is this large wall here between us on stage. Norm MacDonald comes out in front of the wall and says, just continue, Mr. Gorbachev. We have some fellas here. We're going to knock it down for you while you speak. Gorbachev. Very well. Presidents Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Reagan, and Bush, along with Russian leaders Stalin, Melenkov, Bulganin, Khrushchev, Brezhnev, Andropov, and Cherenko, come out and begin knocking down the wall with tools. Gorbachev. Yes, anyway. I was born to a poor peasant family of Russian and Ukrainian heritage. Growing up under the rule of Joseph Stalin, in my youth, I operated combine harvesters on a collective farm before joining the Communist Party, which then governed the Soviet Union. After Stalin's death, I became a keen proponent of de-Stalinization under the Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev. I was appointed the first party secretary of the Stavropol Regional Committee in 1970, in which I oversaw construction of the Great Stavropol Canal. In 1978, I returned to Moscow to become a secretary of the party's Central Committee and joined its governing Politburo. 3 years after the death of Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev, following the brief tenures of Yuri Andropov and Konstantin Chernenko, in 1985, the Politburo elected me as General Secretary, the de facto leader. Although committed to preserving the Soviet state and its socialist ideals, I believe significant reform to be necessary, particularly after the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. I withdrew from the Soviet-Afghan War and embarked on summits with United States President Ronald Reagan to limit nuclear weapons and to end the Cold War. The United States and Russian leaders completely knocked down the wall. Applause, applause, applause. Gorbachev steps through the rubble and says, "Well, now I can see you all." Domestically, my policy of glasnost, which means openness, allowed for enhanced freedom of speech and press, while my perestroika, meaning restructuring, sought to decentralize economic decision-making to improve its efficiency. I received the Nobel Peace Prize and am proud of my role in ending the Cold War. I hope that soon, others with my general mindset will help end the war in Ukraine. Applause, applause, applause. Gorbachev, we have a great show tonight. Chris Cornell is here. So let's stick together, move on from when we fell on black days, and instead say hello to heaven. We'll be right back.